Hello, friend. Happy Monday morning. I hope you are doing great this morning. I got back late last night from a weekend away, and I personally am so happy that travel is a thing again. Now, I was traveling kid-free, but what I want to talk to you about today is traveling with kids. And a lot of what I'm going to be sharing today is really geared more toward those mamas of little ones, but hopefully there is something in here for everyone. It really is so exciting to see travel back, and I know that a lot of you are taking some fun trips this summer, many of which had been put off for a very long time. And while we all look forward to vacation, what we don't talk a lot about is the travel planning process and how stressful it can be when we are traveling with kids. Now, just before we took our first vacation after my son was born, a friend told me that traveling with kids is not a vacation, it's a trip. And it didn't take me long to realize exactly what she meant. Now, I will say, now that my kids are older, it does actually feel more like a vacation when we all travel together. So there is hope in sight. But today I want to share my top 4 stress-free travel tips to help save you some potential headaches. So my first tip is to pre-plan your transportation. Of course, once you have your destination and hotel booked, it can save you so much stress if you figure out all your transportation in advance. And something that I learned shortly after we had kids and we're taking our first trip is that you can actually find cab services that will come pick you up with car seats, regulation car seats installed properly in their cabs. So that means you don't have to drive to the airport yourself, and you don't necessarily have to bring a car seat with you if you aren't going to need it. So planning out the transportation in advance really can save you so much stress. And the same thing goes for once you get to your destination. Figuring out if there are cabs that you can easily hail at your new destination, or if you'll have to have that figured out in advance as well. Of course, if you're driving to the airport and you do want to have your own car, figuring out what lot you're going to be parking in so that you can minimize the stress and the rush once you get to the airport can make all the difference. My number 2 tip is to start packing well in advance. And believe it or not, I used to be a total packing procrastinator. If I'm honest, I still am sometimes because it really used to stress me out so much to pack that I just would totally avoid it and do it at the last minute. But you know how that goes. That doesn't make it any less stressful. In fact, it makes it so much more stressful. And there's nothing worse than having to make an emergency run to the store the day before your trip because you don't have something that you're going to need. You will be happy to know that I, for the most part, changed my ways and really have started packing in advance. And I actually created a packing checklist to help take some of the stress out of packing. And I will link that for you below, or I'll do a swipe up when I share this on Instagram. This packing checklist when my kids were little was such a game changer because there's just so many things to remember and it's really so stressful. And so this saved me so much stress and time and energy. So what I will do now if we are packing for the whole family is to start laying out our clothes and other belongings far enough in advance that makes sense. Not too far out because a lot of times we're still using what we need, but far enough in advance that we will be able to see if there's anything we're missing that we'll have to run out and grab. But my tip is this: don't actually put the stuff in your suitcase too far in advance. I actually prefer to just leave it lying out because you might start second guessing if you put something in the suitcase or not, unless you're using the checklist and you check it off as you go. I find that laying everything out and packing it in the suitcase is the last step that I do. Now, If you're not going to be doing laundry on your trip, think about how many different outfits everyone will need. I try to pack mix and match outfits for all of us, so I minimize the amount that we're going to have to pack. Of course, with little ones, you have to account for spills and messes and all the other fun things that come along with having little kids. So of course, you'll want to pack extra outfits for them. But when it comes to yourself, try to minimize, because when you are traveling with kids and you have all of their stuff, the less of your own stuff you have, the easier it all becomes. Now, here is a pro organizer tip. Once you have everything laid out that you want, go through it and put a third of it back. Trust me, you won't need it, and overpacking will literally and figuratively weigh you down. Okay, tip number 3 is to take care of house stuff before you go. So even though I was the only one traveling this weekend, I still did my full Sunday reset on Thursday because I left Friday morning to make sure that I was on top of everything in the house so I wouldn't have to stress too much when I got back. There were a few things I had to do, but not too much. Stress-free travel prep isn't just about the actual travel. It also means making sure your home will be taken care of while you're away. So I recommend putting your mail on hold, putting your trash pickup on hold, newspaper delivery, all of those things that we often don't think about. These are also on the checklist. I also make sure that I toss any food in the fridge or pantry. Obviously not necessarily just if we're going away for a weekend, but this comes into play for a longer trip. And I love to do all the laundry before I go and make sure that I totally reset my home, because there is no better feeling than coming home from a vacation to a totally neat and organized home with no lingering to-dos. That is one of the best ways to allow the relaxation of the vacation to come back with you into your day-to-day life. Okay, my last tip is this. Strategically pack your carry-on. One of the biggest adjustments you have to make when you have kids is that you can no longer travel, for the most part, with just carry-ons. There's too much stuff. When I travel solo, am strictly a carry-on packer, but it's not necessarily realistic with kids. So here is my tip for you. In your carry-on, make sure that for each traveler, you have a change of clothes, a set of PJs, your most important toiletries, the kid essentials, and like if you're going somewhere warm, a bathing suit and flip-flops. That way, you will be set for at least a full day or two if your luggage gets lost. It is rare that it happens, but it does happen, or that it gets delayed. And there's nothing worse than having to give up an entire day of your vacation because you don't have what you need. And even if the luggage doesn't get lost, it's such a way to minimize your stress about something happening to your luggage. So I really suggest packing your carry-on very strategically. And of course, make sure that you are filling your carry-on with tons of snacks, activities for the kids, all the electronics. My theory is that all rules go out the window when traveling. Obviously, you don't want your kids to be oversugared, or if you have kids that get too cranky because they've watched too much TV or whatever, you want to minimize that. But my kids, I'll give them all the sugar, all the TV, all the things. It is about survival, friends. So we all know that traveling can be stressful, but really try not to let it overshadow the joy of vacationing together as a family and all of the wonderful memories you are about to make. I hope this was helpful. And again, I just want to share some words of encouragement that it really does get easier and more fun as your kids get bigger, because you really can enjoy, and there is so much less packing, and they can really take ownership over their things. But when they're little, you still should travel, have fun, live your life, and hopefully these tips will help it go a little bit more smoothly. So let me know in the comments if you are going anywhere fun this summer. I would love to hear. As you know, we do our annual trip to the Jersey Shore in August, and I am so excited about that. So let me know where you're going in the comments below. I hope you have a wonderful week. And if you are in the G&G membership, I will see you live inside our private Facebook group at 10:30. It's my favorite day of the month where we have our live coaching call. So I will see you over there. Have a good one.